Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy, I'm Christodon1, and I am back with another video. I apologize I didn't upload anything Monday. Your boy got a little busy yesterday. Sorry about that. But we're back and better than ever. Let's talk about and discuss this trade that went down last night. Blake Griffin was traded to the Detroit Pistons in return for Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley, can I say that? The number one pick in this year's NBA draft, a number 2, and a bunch of other players. Now, the Clippers are also going to be sending 2 more players to sweeten the pot, so to say, to make this deal official. Now, a lot of people are saying that, well, I don't think this is fair for Blake Griffin because he just signed that $172 million deal, and the Clippers were selling him and banking him on they were supposed to be retiring his jersey number, and he's going to be a Clipper for life and things of that nature. Even though, if you really pay attention to the NBA, and you understand, I apologize for the noise in the background, and if you understand how the NBA work, that's probably that was probably their honest intentions for Blake Griffin. But when they lost Chris Paul, to the Houston Rockets, they saw the writing on the wall. The current format that they have, Lob City, this wasn't going to be accomplished because they lost Chris Paul. And plus, Lob City, that the dynamic of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, that experiment really didn't cash out and for the Clippers. They didn't win any titles. They didn't win a lot of playoff games of that formula. So change was coming. Jerry West is now working for the Clippers, and he's behind all of these decisions and all of these moves. Now, Doc Rivers was the coach, but he also had responsibilities in the office, and they took those responsibilities away from Doc Rivers, and they gave them all to Jerry West. So Jerry West is molding this team, okay? Now, they also traded Chris Paul to the Rockets. They didn't just lose Chris Paul to the Rockets. They got something in return for Chris Paul, all right? Now, to me, I think what Jerry West is doing with the Clippers is he's tearing it down. He's purging the Los Angeles Clippers. And they understand that they cannot compete with the Golden State Warriors, the San Antonio Spurs, on that type of level. And even though they have beaten the Rockets, all right, when it gets down to the playoffs, do you think with the current format that they had a week ago with Blake Griffin, they could have beaten the Houston Rockets in a series, beaten the Rockets in 4 games in a series? The likelihood is no. Okay, so Jerry West sees the writing on the wall and also sees the capabilities of Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin is an athletic power forward that can slam the ball, that can get up and down the court. He can also do amazing blocks, rebounds, things of that nature. But when you talk about the other elements, can he hit a 20-foot jumper on a consistent basis? Can he shoot threes on a consistent basis? Okay, if Blake Griffin had the talent of Kevin Love, he probably would have been with the Los Angeles Clippers, and they would have built around him. Okay, but that is not the case with Blake Griffin. He's more athletic than perimeter. And that's what the NBA is going to. It's going to a perimeter type of game. The Golden State Warriors, as long as they keep dominating, as long as they keep winning titles, this is a copy and paste league, And every team in the NBA is going to copy and paste the Golden State Warriors. And Blake Griffin does not fit that type of system. Now, as far as what this means for the Clippers, they're rebuilding, they're revamping, and they're going to make this team better through the draft. Okay, now there are some reports out there that suggest that the reason why they're clearing up a lot of cap room is because of it's a possibility of getting LeBron James. I do not see LeBron James in the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't see LeBron James on either team of the Lakers or the Clippers, but if I have to pick between those two teams, I would pick the Lakers over the Clippers. Okay. But with that being said, the Los Angeles Lakers are rebuilding. And this is a rebuilding mood, a mode for when you're talking about this trade. Now, what this means for the Detroit Pistons, I think with Blake Griffin as well as the other talent that they have with Detroit, I think this move to me will keep them in as far as a playoff position, maybe the 8th seed. Clearly, the Detroit Pistons are going to have to add some other players to make the Detroit Pistons a better team. I don't think this move, make the Detroit Pistons better than the Boston Celtics. No chance in hell better than the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat. It's a possibility that they will give the 76ers a run for their money. But if you look at the talent of the 76ers and if you look at the talent of the Detroit Pistons, and the Philadelphia 76ers fit the mold of a perimeter team better than the Detroit Pistons, I think there's a possibility where Detroit may beat the 76ers in a playoff series, but that's as far as they're going to advance. So clearly, Stan Van Gundy is going to have to make more decisions for the Detroit Pistons. Now, they're going to clearly sell a lot of tickets having Blake Griffin as a player for the Detroit Pistons. Now, as far as Blake Griffin goes, does he like this decision? I don't think he likes this decision now because he really enjoyed Los Angeles. Okay, he was trying to be, wasn't trying to be. He mainly was in comedy clubs and things of that nature. And in Detroit, they have comedy clubs there as well. But the type of environment Blake Griffin had in Los Angeles, it's going to be hard for him to duplicate in Detroit. Now, he can go to Los Angeles on his, in the off season. Okay, that's still a possibility, and he can still, take photos with other celebrities there. But as far as a basketball decision, I don't think Blake Griffin is happy with the current format right now. Okay, being traded. Maybe Blake Griffin and his agency should have came up to the Clippers and demanded a no trade clause. Okay, which I've been telling you guys more than ever. A lot of NBA teams are going to ban the no trade clause. Okay, because of LeBron James. We're not going to get into that, but a lot of teams are mysteriously not allowing other players to incorporate the no trade clause. Okay, so Carmelo and LeBron James have it on a certain extent because he signed shorter contracts. Okay, but as far as this trade goes, who wins in this trade? To me, the Clippers kind of won in this trade. They got Blake Griffin off their books. That's what they wanted to do. They got some salary cap space, okay, so they can sign a potential free agent in next year's NBA free agency. All right, DeAndre Jordan is going to be off the books as well. Okay, And they have pieces where they can see how they work right now. And if these pieces do not work, they will trade these pieces to other teams so they can get even more draft picks. Okay. With the Clippers, with this trade, this is like for the future. And the future is not that distant. I mean, it's extremely far. We really don't know what the Clippers are going to look like 3 to 4 years from now. But with all of these trades with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, those trades had to do with the future. Now they got Avery Bradley, and they also got oh shoot, I forgot his name. I forgot his name. He played for the Houston Rockets. Patrick Beverley. All right, those are two pieces that other teams wouldn't mind trading for. The Cleveland Cavaliers would love to trade for either of those players to beef up their defensive perimeter game, Patrick Beverley and Avery Bradley. And if they give up draft picks, then the Clippers are interested, okay? The same can be said for the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs would love to have either of those players, okay? So there's some value in the players that they already have with the Clippers, and they can either let them play the rest of the season, see how it works with these players, see with which best lineup will make them very successful, okay? But like I said in a video over the summer when they traded Chris Paul, clearly, if you look, before the season even started, I stated that the Clippers are going to be more of a defensive perimeter unit versus Lob City or a perimeter scoring type of unit. All right. Now they have players that can defend on the perimeter. Okay, which is going to be a living nightmare for the Golden State Warriors as well as the Houston Rockets. But when it's all said and done, I still don't think they can beat either of those teams in a 7-game series, okay? But they're going to stretch these series, make them interesting, and who knows, okay? So that's my perspective of this trade. I think this was a good trade for the Clippers. Clearly, they're looking at the future, and I don't think Doc Rivers is going to be in their future, all right? I think Doc Rivers is coaching his final season for the Los Angeles Clippers, all right? You can quote me on that, all right? As far as Detroit goes, they have another athletic big that can move, and as long as Blake Griffin doesn't miss a lot of games, because he is injury prone, okay? But with the lineup that Detroit already has, technically all Blake Griffin did was move from he was with the Clippers, and they were primarily a defensive unit with bigs, with a lot of bigs, with little perimeter help when you're talking about perimeter offense. And now he's traded to a team that has that same business model. I think the Clippers, when you talk about perimeter scoring, is a little bit better than Detroit. All right, but that's basically all he did. He was traded. He left the Clippers, and now he's still with the Clippers in the East. Okay, so the style of play hasn't changed too much for Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, this is what you're going to get out of Blake Griffin. All right. I think you definitely going to get 20 and 10 out of him for the first 3 or 4 years of that contract, and then after that, it's going to tail off a little bit, a lot. And I can see Blake Griffin, if he keeps his body in shape, and if he doesn't get injured something significantly, maybe you could get like 10 points out of him, maybe 7 or 8 rebounds or blocks in the later years of this contract, and then he can be a part of your rotation on the bench. All right, I think Blake Griffin got another good 3 or 4 years as far in his prime as being an elite superstar. He's like a top 20 player, and he's not going to add anything else to his resume. He's not going to as far as hitting that jumper, that 22 jumper on a consistent basis, he's probably not going to be able to do that on a consistent level, but he can knock it down every once in a while. And as far as the 3-point phase of his game goes, I don't think he's going to elevate that as well. He's going to be a smaller version of Dwight Howard, okay? And it would not shock me nor surprise me if Detroit, after him spending maybe 2 or 3 seasons with Detroit, somehow, some way, they hoodwink someone else in trading Blake Griffin to another ball club. So I don't think this is going to be Blake Griffin's final stop. But guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy, I'm Chris Don 1, and I am out, y'all.